How's it going, everybody? It's Royalty Crypto here, and today I am going to be talking about everybody's favorite tokenization play in the crypto space, that being Ondo Finance. I'm also going to take a look at the overall crypto market as a whole and let you guys know what I expect out of the price action of these coins in the coming weeks to months, and I will be going over some bullish and bearish cases later on in this video, so you're not going to want to miss that. And last but not least, this is a brand new YouTube channel, so do me a favor and smash that like and subscribe button. It really does help out the channel, and I really do appreciate all the support that you guys have been giving me for the past couple of months. But without further ado, let's take a look at some of the top crypto coins in the space. So as you guys can see, all the top 10 coins are having a pretty decent day, with Bitcoin up just over 1% in the past 24 hours, currently trading at 88,380. Ethereum and Solana are also creeping up in the right direction, which is fantastic to see. And ultimately, guys, you do need to be rooting for the prices of Bitcoin and Ethereum to pump in order for us to see another leg up for Ondo Finance. So even if you aren't holding these coins, it is still very important to understand what is going on behind their price action. But let's go ahead and take a look at Ondo. As you can see, Ondo is currently trading at a $1.1 billion market cap and is currently at 37 cents. So Ondo has been continuing to struggle quite a bit for the past couple of months, alongside basically every single altcoin in the entire space. Now, I don't think that that should necessarily discourage you from investing into this coin. In fact, I do believe that this is presenting a fantastic risk to reward opportunity if you are accumulating at these levels. Now, it is impossible to say whether or not the bottom is in for Ondo. We could continue to dip for the next couple of weeks. That wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. However, guys, if you are dollar cost averaging at 37 cents, you will be rewarded quite nicely if we do make a run back to the $2 range, which I do expect to happen sometime in the future for Ondo. Now, one thing that you do need to be paying attention to when you invest into Ondo is the fact that it is an inflationary coin, which is of course its biggest downside in my opinion. And when you scroll on down to the token unlock schedule, you can see that we do have a massive unlock coming on January 15th of next year, and I do believe that that is why we've seen some weakness in the Ondo price. It is likely that people are starting to price in this unlock, and I do believe that this is adding to the overall fear of investing into this project. So definitely expect some volatility for the next couple of weeks in this coin in particular, but once we do move past this token unlock on January 15th, we won't be seeing another one until 2027, so I think that that does give us room to run sometime in 2026, and I also do expect the overall altcoin market to do well during this time. Now, I do absolutely love the narrative behind Ondo Finance being a tokenization play, and the fact that they are trying to combine traditional finance with Web3. I do believe that is a very important category, and I think that Ondo is by far the leader in that space. As most of you know, if you've been paying attention, leaders of the traditional finance world like Larry Fink and JP Morgan have been very vocal about how they believe that tokenization is the future. So if you believe what they are saying, and I personally do, then I believe investing into a coin like Ondo Finance could end up doing incredibly well for you in the medium to long term, as long as this project does stay relevant, of course. Now, I do believe that it is possible for Ondo Finance to get back to the all-time high at a $5 billion market cap. As I mentioned earlier, that was $2 in terms of price. In fact, I do think that we could go much higher than that. So my personal price prediction for Ondo for 2026 is actually a $20 billion market cap, which would be an $8 Ondo Finance, at least in terms of the current tokenomics. But guys, as I say in all of my videos, that is not financial advice. Please do your own research outside of these videos, and please make sure that you're taking profits on the way up, because the altcoin market is very unpredictable, as most of you have realized by now. So it is important to lock in those gains when you do have them, and that you don't round trip your bags like a lot of people end up doing. Now, one thing that I did talk about in my last Ondo Finance video is the fact that the SEC has formally closed their confidential Biden-era investigation into Ondo without any charges. This is, of course, very bullish for Ondo, and they weren't the only project that was being hit with these investigations. As you guys know, the Gary Gensler administration was very anti-crypto, and they were basically trying to label every single crypto project as a security. But now that we have a much more pro-crypto administration in the office, this is something that we no longer need to worry about. And of course, guys, the less that we have to worry about in the markets, the better it is for price price action. So this is fantastic to see. However, I did want to mention something that I did not realize in my last video. So as you can see here, they say, so what's next? On February 3rd of 2026 in New York, Ondo Finance will be sharing the next phase of their roadmap at the Ondo Summit, where we are bringing together leading regulators, policymakers, and executives across traditional finance to lay out our vision for the new era of on-chain finance. So yeah, short-term price action could be a bit volatile for Ondo Finance with the massive token unlock coming, but I do believe that this is a very bullish catalyst, especially if they announce some very important things during the Ondo Summit. But worst case scenario, I could see this being a buy the rumor, sell the news event. So I wouldn't be surprised if we actually do pump into this meeting in 2026. And then based on what is announced, we might have a short-term pullback or continue the rally to the upside. But guys, if you are holding Ondo Finance, definitely keep your eyes on this event. But all right, guys, so now I wanted to talk about a potential bearish catalyst for the short term of crypto. And this is actually something that I was talking about back in November on this channel. And that is the fact that we do have a 30% chance of seeing another government shutdown on January 31st of 2026. This is because when the government did reopen a couple of months ago, they only extended the funding until this date because of the fact that they still disagreed on so many different aspects. So if we do end up having another government shutdown, this is of course short-term bearish because it just creates more fear and uncertainty for the market. And as I mentioned earlier in this video, the more fear and more uncertainty people have, the less likely they are going to be to invest into risk on assets like Ondo, which is of course very bearish for the crypto market. But this is just short-term noise in my opinion, and I still do expect 2026 to be incredibly bullish because of the fact that we have more rate cuts coming soon. We have a new Federal Reserve chair being announced early January, and they will be cutting rates at a quicker pace than what is currently happening with Jerome Powell. We also have stimulus checks and massive tax returns coming, and just overall our economy is going to be flooded with liquidity. Also guys, when you take a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, and as I mentioned earlier, price action of Ondo Finance and every altcoin does basically depend on the price of Bitcoin, so it is very important to watch this chart. But guys, when you take a look at this liquidation heat map, you can see that we have very little long leverage positions open compared to the amount of short leverage positions open. Typically what happens when we see such an imbalance on this chart is that crypto moves towards the direction that liquidates the most amount of people. Now I've been talking about this for a long time and it hasn't happened just yet, but I still do believe that this will happen sometime in early 2026, and I think that we just need to have a decent catalyst form before this happens, and I do think that that catalyst will be the announcement of the replacement Fed chair in early January. So I think once that does happen, we will end up liquidating so many of these shorts, potentially all the way back up to around 127,000, which would be an all-time high. And of course, it can happen very quickly because this is the recipe for a short squeeze in the market. So guys, this is something that makes me incredibly bullish on the price of Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin has another leg up, I do expect an altcoin season to follow. But all right, guys, that's going to do it for this video. I might not be making a video tomorrow because it is New Year's Eve. And this has been a relatively slow week, and I don't really expect much volatility to start until the new year for crypto. So we'll see. If there is something that is important that happens, I'll definitely make one. But yeah, guys, have a fantastic night. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.